know this sounds really, really bad for some folks, but frankly, Ari, it's going to have to take a series of white Americans shot and killed in a similar fashion for America to deal with this issue. Oh, that was my take last month on MSNBC, talking about various police shootings, and of course some folks got all upset. Now all of a sudden we see what happens in Minneapolis when an Australian woman shot and killed by a Muslim police officer there, and people are upset, they are angry, calling for him to be fired. Guess what? The police chief in Minneapolis has now resigned as a result of that particular shooting. And of course, we have the shooting death of Philando Castile in the same area. You did not have the exact same reaction. So where are all these Blue Lives Matter people? All of a sudden, they've disappeared. Now, all of a sudden, it's about victims' rights. I'll give you another example, folks. It was quite hilarious. Newsbusters, the so-called media site run by right-winger Brent Brozell. So they decided to write a piece last week. Roland Martin hasn't said anything about the one being shot in Australia. But I tried to tell y'all this was going to happen. But this is what happens when a site like Newsbusters, who doesn't care about black people being shot, all of a sudden, though, one white woman gets shot and killed, and it should be investigated, and it is heinous. Then all of a sudden, they realize there's a problem. This is what we call America in 2017. So Newsbusters write about that. The reality is this here, folks. Justine Damond, a white Australian national, fatally shot on July 15th by a cop after calling 911 to report what she said was a sexual assault near her home. She moved to the U.S. to marry her fiancé and was just days away from her wedding at the time she was killed. And the investigation continues with Officer Mohammed Noor, who is from Somalia, who shot her. Now, over the weekend, there was a march to protest Damond's killing. Valerie Castile, the mother of Philando Castile, showed up to show solidarity with the family and the fiancé of Damond. Now, of course, they have citizen outrage as well. Again, the police chief, Janae Harteau, has resigned, saying that Damond did not have to die and that her killing did not square with the Minneapolis PD's motto of serving with courage and compassion. But the police chief, not the only person on the hot seat, so is the mayor of Minneapolis.
We don't want you as our mayor of Minneapolis anymore. We're asking that you take your staff with you. We don't want you to appoint anybody anymore. Your leadership has been very ineffective, and if you don't remove yourself, we're going to put somebody in place to remove you. We do not want you as the mayor of Minneapolis ever again. We would like you to move out of our city. Your police department has terrorized us enough.
And I am happy to sit down and talk with people about the future of policing in Minneapolis.
Tough times for Mayor Betsy Hodges. Let's go to our panel. We have A. Scott Bolden, attorney and former D.C. Democratic Party chair, along Victoria Burt. Of course, political analyst, writer for NBC Black, Eugene Craig III, CEO of the Eugene Craig Organization, here with the Maryland Republican Party, Faraji Muhammad, host of Listen Up, here in Baltimore, WEAA 88.9 FM. I made that point for a reason on MSNBC, and that is the whole point of Black Lives Matter is that when somebody black is shot and killed, America doesn't care. America blames black people for protesting. America says, oh, they were smoking weed, or they had a record, oh, they shouldn't have reached for a gun. And I said that because the history of America shows when something happens to somebody white in America, it's a whole different reaction, and that's exactly what we're seeing in Minneapolis.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right here. Where is the NRA? Where is the thin blue line? How do they have they not come across or come around for the Somalian police officer? This was a tragic incident no matter what, don't get me wrong. But like all of our institutions, when it comes to when white people start to experience what black people experience, whether it's in education, whether it's in law enforcement, whether it's in economic development, you name it, it tends to get better because all of a sudden now people who don't look like us are more sensitized to it.
The problem is this case with Ms. Damond is likely a one-off because we know that police over-police black communities. So the fact that there would be more interactions with white folks that might lead to a police shooting is a lot less, which is why we see all these interactions, you know, things like stopping Eric Garner for selling loose cigarettes, minor stuff, and of course the stop and frisk stats that we saw off the chain in New York, for example. reflects the fact that policing happens disproportionately in black communities. So I actually think that this case is an anomaly, but it's amazing to see the silence of the police union.
Right.
I mean, that is never the
Fraternal
case.
order police.
Right.
You don't see them out there.
Right.
And again, you don't see the usual conservative folks who are out there condemning the protesters, saying, wait till the investigation is complete.
Exactly.
Don't jump to any conclusions. And again, and the thing is, and that's why it was laughable, because anytime I get crazy right-wingers on my website, on my social media feed, that means some conservative site has written something, and all the trolls come out. And again, that's what these little trolls with Newsbusters did. They're like, well, Roland Martin has gone a whole week and hasn't mentioned her getting shot and killed. Newsbusters, would you like for me to list all the black people who get shot and y'all say nothing and don't write about it? And that, Eugene, is the problem that I have.
That's the same problem I have. You know, we're still waiting for an actual hard, concrete statement from the NRA, from, you know, Media Research Center, anybody on the heart right on Philando Castile. You know, one thing that this particular situation showed is that, you know, Black Lives Matter is more All Lives Matter than All Lives Matter is. You know, I would expect, you know, FOP3 here in Baltimore to come out and defend this police officer. They've been on top of every other police case in the country. You're expecting Thin Blue Line to actually come out and defend them.
No. Last week, I tweeted to the Baltimore FOP.
On this, man.
I tweeted them, why y'all haven't said jack about the cop captured on body cam planting the drugs. Oh, their Twitter feed has been real quiet.
But this is the thing. What it shows is that when it comes to policing issues, Black Lives Matter stands firmly on the principles that they're founded on.
Faraji?
I mean, it's going to be interesting, Brother Roland, to see how the court system handles Muhammad Noor's case. Are they going to go through the same process where, you know, they're going to have, you know, kind of a confined jury? There's not going to be a lot of public. I mean, at the end of the day, it just goes to show you that there has to be a change or reform in policing. And what happened with that particular case is that Muhammad Noor said he heard a sound, and then a woman came knocking on his window while him and his partner were sitting in the car. And then he just made the decision to just shoot. 2 years on the force.
Now, I'm telling you right now, if this was a black victim, this is what we would hear. I fear for my life.
Come on.
I feared when the cops in New York got ambushed.
Right.
And that's what I was thinking as well. But again, though, it's just amazing to look at the reaction, the people who are trashing him, and let's also don't confuse the fact that because he's a Muslim police officer, that the action is also totally different. Don't act like that has nothing to do with it.
Okay, hold on one second. Let's not lose sight of one thing. This was a tragic incident.
Yes.
This young woman didn't deserve to die. And as I've said often and been tweeting about, who are we giving guns and badges to? Because this was just bad police conduct, whether they're black, white, yellow, or brown. Let's not lose sight of that.
Oh, no.
And justice still requires
Here's the deal, though.
we do better in
I'm not going to lose sight of that, but again, it's very telling when you see the reaction. And all of a sudden, I think her lawyer said, there's been no other victim who has ever been more innocent than her. And it's shameful that she has lost her life. But again, though, what I would say to those people who have been criticizing Black Lives Matter, where were you? Where were you when you were sitting here saying that? Where were you when John Crawford III was gunned down in a Beaver Creek, Ohio Walmart, talking on the cell phone in the open carry state? But are you doing? And again, though, I'm comparing it because the reaction, and we know in America, when something happens to an African American, it's a different reaction than it is when it happens to somebody white.
Okay, that reaction is race-based. But the fact of the matter is,
I'm calling what it is.
With your black, white, yellow, brown, and your police officer, and you have a gun and a badge, we got to do a better job of testing and figuring out who we're giving these guns to.
I agree.
There's no doubt about that. But that knows no color.
Been all young, very young cops. The case in South Carolina. There's another cop only 2 years on the force. There's some commonalities there, but still, the lack of reaction is amazing.
Weekdays on TV One.
I will never lie to you.
Oh my God.
Roland Martin.
He doesn't want to talk to us. He wants to ignore us.
Uncensored.
Hell no. That ain't gonna cut it, boo.
Unapologetic.
No, that is fundamentally false. You are wrong.
Unfiltered.
He wants an America where we all look alike. He ain't talking about black people.
Unrelenting.
You better go work out, because you got a fight on your hands.
NewsOne Now with Roland Martin. Weekdays at 7 a.m. on TV One.